Here we are on the 23rd of August, 2019. We have started a new vessel here at Shepler's Mackinac Island Ferry Service, and that vessel, we're hoping, it all depends on the schedule and how things go. We're a little bit behind right now, but not a worry. We will take that vessel and put it into operation next summer. Our capacity of getting people to and from Mackinac Island has increased, so we need another platform to make sure that we're not leaving people on the dock and making sure that we get them to the island as quickly as possible. So that would be the biggest reason for this move, to invest $4 million into another vessel. And the boat has been detailed. We are currently cutting steel, but no formation of the vessel has happened yet.
I'd say probably 70% of the components that go into the boat are sitting on the floor of Moran Iron Works ready to be put together. And once they get the okay and everything's all good, we know what the last step is before we start the first step. That's when Moran Iron Works takes off and goes.
And how things work with Moran Iron Works, which may be different than anywhere else in the world, is that boat will be cut. All the things that need, like the sheeting on the hull, the frames on the inside, where the holes should go for the through bulkheads, for the piping of the fire systems, and all of that stuff, all of those holes, all of those intricacies are cut prior to the first weld going on the boat, which is very unique. It looks like a Tinker Toy set, and then there's a very intricate labeling system. Yes, craftsmanship is probably the number one thing on the list of why Moran. Very close behind would be the $4 million of economic impact that we will keep here in Sheboygan and Presque counties, which is very important to our family, that we do that we keep that money here in northern Michigan. And then behind that was, it's close, so we can be hands-on in that building process. Not that we're going to hold a welding gun and build the boat, but we are, when it comes to power plants and throttles and their location and steering wheels and all of that stuff, the little integral part, we have a say in where they go, how they go in, etc. So all of those things get put into a big pot and stirred up, and it came back to a unanimous choice of Moran. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for coming to Shepler's Mackinac Island Ferry Service, Mackinac City, for this special day, the naming of our new vessel. And before we do get going with the naming of the new vessel, just a couple of people here we'd like to introduce. Our CEO and pretty much the guy that's gotten us to where we are and over the last 40 years, our CEO, William Shepler. And to my left, big round of applause, little curtsy. To my left is my brother, Billy. He's our fleet captain. And Mike Moroz to his left, who is representing Moran Iron Works, where the vessel is being built currently. And to his left is Patricia Shepler, another family member, my sister, who's in charge of a lot of different things in that office right there that I'd rather not start bullet pointing that. But without her, we couldn't be doing the things that we're doing. It's all related to money with her, though. So anyway, the naming of the vessel it's a very special day for us, for Shepler's, for our family, for all the crew that we have here at Shepler's Mackinac Island Ferry. And this is a big day for us. The boat is currently in construction down in Onaway. Mike will talk a little bit about that process and where we are in that process. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to our CEO, William Shepler.
Good afternoon. Gosh, where did we get the crowd? Did you go to the island yet? But thank you for coming to be a part of this. It's special for us. We started, as I say, with 2 speedboats, 10 passengers each boat. My dad drove one, I drove one, back in the good old days. Then came the Miss Margie, 24 people with a roof over our head and a radio. Oh my goodness gracious. Then came the Billy Dick. Then came the Welcome. So that's sort of the history, but thank you so much for coming and being part of this special day for us. Thank you.
All right. You ready? We're gonna flip it this way, right over the top. Ready? Let's go. All right, it is the William Richard. That's pretty big.
We had no choice.
That's pretty big. Well, thank you, Dad, for all the history and the comments about. I remember that day too when the welcome came through underneath the bridge and ended up docking and the big surprise and
Were
how
you
fast
born
you went.
then?
I was born. I was standing right over there.
Yeah.
I know I look a lot younger than I am.
You're right, yeah.
So I would also, again, I'd like to introduce Mike Morose from Moran Iron Works to give us an update on the boat and the relationship that we have with you.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to let you know that Moran Iron Works is proud to again partner with Shepler's Mackinac Island Ferry in constructing a new vessel and adding to their fleet. Construction on the new boat is well underway. We've currently got an engine room, a jet room, and a bunch of frames and bulkheads into this boat. Our welders are currently working hard in Onaway to get the job done. This 84-foot vessel is going to have 4 engines and jets to give over 200 passengers a quick and comfortable ride to Mackinac Island. We appreciate the trust and commitment from the Shepler family, helping us to employ those in our local communities throughout this fall and winter for thousands of hours. We look forward to adding the William Richard to become the newest flagship of Shepler's fleet. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Tom Moran. Started Moran Iron Works in 1978 in a rented building in Onaway. Moved to this location that was part of my uncle's dairy farm, a part of the pasture, in 1982 and incorporated in 1986. Moran Iron Works actually it's a misnomer, but when I was growing up, the term ironworks always depicted a large industry. And one of our family friends, who was also a merchant marine, just in jest, he would say, "Hey, what's happening at the ironworks?" So when I filed for my assumed name, partly it was a joke and partly it was something I knew I could grow into. So I selected the name Moran Iron Works. But really it's been a fabrication company from the beginning. My goal is the complete satisfaction of the Shepler's family and a vessel that lasts 60, 80 years that they're designed to last. Our relationship with Shepler's is decades long. We do have quite a history and millions of dollars, obviously, in revenue has passed between these companies. So. And that has had a huge impact on northern Michigan. You know, there's a dozen families that will live off this project for a year. So that means a lot here.
Everything's in place as far as structural. They're going to start putting the hull plates on the boat and what you see behind us. And once they do that, then they're going to spend some time welding everything in. Right now everything's kind of just tacked into position right now, so you won't see too much on the live feed of change. Once the hull then gets turned over, then a lot is going to happen. The other thing that we're doing is going to go with jet drives, which is something that we've never done. We touched base on it just in the beginning, but the long and the short of it is the 6 ferry boats, including our freight boat, which would be 7 boats, are all propeller driven. The William Richard here is going to go from an engine to a reduction gear to a jet, which squirts water right out of the back of the boat, and that's the propulsion. The speeds that we're hauling now, the 30 mile an hour plus speeds, creates cavitation, and that is all underneath the boat. It's the water flowing over the propeller and what the propeller does to the water, and all of that creates noise and vibration. And the faster you go, the more pronounced that is. Now jets work the other way around, is that they don't have that cavitation, and the faster you go with a jet, the more efficient the jets become. The propellers are real good on low end and low speed efficiencies, but once you get to I'm using 30 miles an hour as kind of the pivot point, but anything much faster than that, the propellers start to lose a little efficiency. The jets then kind of are a little bit more efficient on the other side of the coin, so to speak. So performance-wise of the boat, handling, things are going to be a little differently, but we're looking forward to learning that whole process.
Welding and forming the hull it's exciting for me personally. But when you start dropping motors in there and putting jet drives in the back, that's when things really start to happen. And when you're lifting a $250,000 motor and putting it in place, everybody's really paying attention to what's going on. So those are probably the exciting things. And then really the peak of excitement is when it leaves here on one of our military transports and heads to the port. Those are when everybody's at full attention.
It's a fun project to be a part of. I'm a lucky guy in regards to being able to be a part of something like this. I mean, this right here behind us right now is, you'll never see a boat like this and it's, the way it looks right now for much longer. So it's neat to see it start from conception to, the preparation phase and now the build phase. So it's pretty fun to see it all come together.
This really is about trust, and trust is worth more than money. And to have the trust from the Shepler's family to do something like this, it's part of it's part of their livelihood. So that means more than anything. Trust for me is more than money.
I've been here born and raised, and I started with Moran's about 15 years ago, sweeping the floors and climbed the ladder all the way up to being a foreman. And this would be my third build here on a marine vessel. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of challenges with them, but I just love doing them. There's not too many people around that can say they can build an 85-foot boat.
I actually graduated school and then got hired in here. So this is my first welding job ever. So that was one of my first projects. I worked down on some of the machines making the parts, like cutting them out and everything. And then I got to come down here and learn how to roll them and shape them. So that was my first project down here, was doing the hull of the boat, the bottom of it. So I got to roll it and shape it and tack it up. And it's been cool to see it come from there. When I first moved up here, one of the first things I did was go over to the island with a friend to go ride bicycles. So we took a Shepler's ferry to get over there, and that was my first real time on a ferry. And it was pretty cool. Now I'm building for them, so it's even more exciting.
All right, well, here we are on the William Richard. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you aboard. Please take your time and watch your step. There's nothing like an untimely slip to ruin your William Richard trip. Welcome aboard. As you see, we got a lot going on here. Getting close to the finishing stages of the construction of the new William Richard. I'd like to take you on inside and see what we got going on inside. A few things that we're doing here before we start to install seats and paint. You can look around up here in the ribbing and the framework here is that we added this year, or to this boat, a sound deadening paint. It's made a huge difference, and we're not even all the way there yet, but you can tell by the way things, when you walk on the deck, no more rattly, tinny noise, pretty impressive. So what we're gonna mount our seats to in the rows of the seats, and then underneath these, it's a little bit of a stanchion so we can run a wire to a light for nighttime purpose. Illuminate the aisleway. As we move back through here, watch your step. Different compartments, our AC compartment where all the air conditioning and heat comes from, our electrical compartment, fuel and electrical. Not much really to see down there right now, but people are in and out left and right. And if we keep walking right on back, you'll see our entrance to our aft deck. Now, for those of you who've ridden with us before, you know the Miss Margie doesn't have any stairs going into the lower cabin, nor does this boat. It has a little bit of a ramp. We have a 1-foot drop. That's our only real barrier that we have in regards to, but no more stairs. We're recognizing the fact that having stairs not only is difficult on passengers getting up and down those and kind of a pinch point, but it's also it's a lot safer for the most part, not having to walk up and down stairs. So slowly but surely we're starting to update our fleet so that we don't have that. We're pretty proud of going in that direction. Keep right on coming on back. This here is our aft deck space. Now, stairwells aren't quite put in yet, and they're still working very diligently and adding insulation in our engine room. Engine room, that's actually our emergency escape hatch, and then this next one back is the jet room. You kind of get a little bit of a picture of. Our actual entrance into the engine room is covered up because they're about ready to start spraying in the sound dampening paint back here, just to kind of get rid of some of that noise. So plenty of room, which is pretty exciting for us, for all the bikes, luggage, strollers, whatever you may want to be bringing across with you. We're putting our dukes up for you. Welcome to the top deck. Kind of see how things are starting to come together. Moran Iron Works does such a good job in finish work, even though that we're not finished, but the quality of these cabinets and the attention to detail that they do to make sure everything fits real well, closes tight, everything's nice and even. It's so cool. Very impressive way that they go about their business here at Moran. Quality control is awesome. So to see stuff like this, from me, on my point of view, is just beautiful work. Beautiful, beautiful work. Pilot house, kind of interesting here. If you can kind of see this little piece of metal, it's flat. Because of Coast Guard regulations, inside here is considered to have a very high fire load. All the wiring, all the electricity, all of that stuff that goes into the control systems and lighting and all that stuff all stems right out of this little building. So the chances of things going wrong are increased. The Coast Guard at certain temperatures thinks that aluminum down here is flammable. Here, stainless steel. Pretty unique. Back to this little piece. Can't remember the name of the bimetal company that makes this, but it is a piece of stainless steel on top of a piece of aluminum. You can kind of see up here, same sort of deal. The stainless is on the bottom and it's flipped over. But what they do is they take a big sheet of aluminum and a big sheet of stainless steel, 8 tons of explosives on the top, 8 tons of explosives on the bottom, shove it into a mountain out in Colorado, shut the door and pull the trigger. Bonds it together. Allows us to be able to decrease the fire load by the stainless steel and still keeping everything nice and tight and finished. It's kind of very unique, expensive stuff, but for the most part, pretty neat little feature. And as we turn around here, you can kind of see how we've got all the top deck seat racks all ready and ready to go and in place, which is pretty exciting. We do that because for us to, and we actually painted them. You can kind of see how they're a little bit done up, but we finished painted these because getting underneath those and spraying them from the bottom is very difficult. So we had all these racks back at our shop up in Mackinac City. We painted them, brought them back down, we welded them, and then obviously we got some more work to do with paint, but that's why they're painted. But we're quite excited about this. And here we are in the pilot house, and you kind of get a good view of what we got going on. But the early stages of our dash, our chart table, we've already gone through the process of figuring out where every instrument's going to go. We've laid it out on a template. Now our group from Creative Cabinetry is in doing this magnificent finish work. So it's starting to show shape and form of what it's going to look like when we put her in the water, but getting there, as you can tell. In the engine room, that's a very high fire load. If there's an engine fire and it runs away, this stuff won't allow that fire to escape the engine room. Very expensive. These here part of the jet is what they call the whale tail. Now this is the part that deflects all the thrust, which comes right out of this little nozzle here. Right now, this whale tail is set in the neutral position. So half of it goes up into the whale tail and is redirected, and the other half squirts out. So there's equal forward thrust, equal reverse thrust. If you want to go in reverse, this whale tail comes all the way down over this nozzle and redirects the water in reverse. When you're in full throttle, this whale tail will go up more, and you'll be able to see that whole thrust of squirt coming right out of the jet itself. But these again are the whale tails. In the olden days, the whole individual jet used to turn hanging out the back end of the boat. Now there's a little collar here, thrust nozzle. This is the pivot point. That thing angles thrust one way or another to give you steerability. So looking forward to getting her in the water and letting her rip. Our big thing that we've got going on is our new boat, the William Richard, that was started last winter and was progressing along right on schedule, and we were very excited about it, not only because it's a new boat, but the need for the new boat with the busyness of our business and how we've grown over the last 3 years. That added platform, those added 210 seats certainly would mean a lot to us. And then enter, boom, pandemic. We completely shut down that build. From there, we entered into the 2020 season with our ferry boat service. We opened on May 29th. We normally open on April 19th. So we were a month and 10 days late in opening. How it related to the William Richard, we shut it down because of the governor's orders and those executive orders that continued to come out through March and April and May even. And so we couldn't get to the boat. When we did get to the boat, it was I'm not so sure we're gonna need this. So the push to get the boat in the water to meet a deadline for the christening, which had a lot of strings tied to it, whether that was the person that was going to be the MC, whether it was the person that was going to crack the champagne over the bow with my father, to all of those things, we didn't have those deadlines. So there was no need for
the push with overtime, the push for late days, early mornings, weekends, any of that. So we went to strictly a 40-hour work week on that boat with our team, and that was the same for Moran Iron Works for their team. So that schedule got pushed back, which was just fine for us. It was in the afternoon where we threw some fuel in the Welcome and went down and met her just south of Sheboygan, about 15 miles south of Sheboygan, and brought her up. And I was enamored with the performance of the vessel and how she looked and her lines. She's a much different, I mean, this one's a little more, the lines are a little longer, the bow is a little longer. The first thing I saw, my dad wasn't driving. He was on the top deck kind of leaning over, and we were fairly close and running at about 30 miles an hour, and all I could see was this grin on his face, this grin that was from ear to ear like I've never seen, or it's been a while since I've seen that grin. And amongst everything that's going on, whether it's the pandemic or the unrest or whatever you want to call it, it was very, very cool to see my father, who's 88, just have this unbelievable grin and this look on his face like, we did it, she looks good, she's running good, and it's named after me.
I'm proud as punch for the family to name a boat after me. I haven't gotten over it yet, and I probably won't till after the second or third year of the operation.
It is coming along swimmingly. We're absolutely ecstatic about how it looks. The time, Russ, our head painter, is just so meticulous in how he does things. And this has now given him his time to treat it as his Picasso, where the rest of them, especially the Miss Margie, the vessel before the William Richard, was a real push. And yes, it looks great. He did a great job, but it wasn't what he wanted it to be. This one is what he wants it to be.
No, you in the marina? I'm walking in right now.
As far as the vessel design, the criteria for that with the Coast Guard's already been met. So the stability letter, the incline test, that's all been completed. We're waiting for COI, which is basically the occupancy or permission to use the boat with the Coast Guard after paint's complete. So complete staff training for safety, make sure the safety features work, including the fire system, man overboard, that type of stuff. A little bit of training for the staff, and we'll be good to go.
The first time we run with her, with people, it will be exciting. And it'll be a new chapter in the Shepler family history of running boats between Mackinac Island, Mackinac City, and St. Ignace.
It's like driving a new car. You know, there's one thing being said about the first person to drive a brand new boat. I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of those opportunities. To me, I just think is really, really, really cool in regards to having the business to expand your fleet is pretty fun. Maneuverability is the real exciting thing about this jet drive and control system. Is it's basically you have a little what they call a mouse boat, and you can push the mouse in any direction you want the boat to go, sideways, kind of kitty corner, or whatever the case might be. You can make the boat do that, so it's pretty cool.
As we see it now today, sitting in the water, and after running a few days with luggage, we see, you know, the real true colors of the vessel. We could not be happier with the initial thought process of, yeah, this thing is going to work really, really well. I was skeptical. I was probably the most skeptical of them all. And because Billy was dealing with the naval architect, the engineers, and all those guys, and he kept hearing it, that you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine, this is going to be great, this is going to be great. I didn't hear those stories, and was not in those communication processes. So I'm over here sitting by myself going, there's no way in heck this thing's going to work. And I couldn't be more wrong. And I should probably listen to the professionals and go with what they know. And when I say I couldn't have been more wrong, we were getting the speed that we want. The maneuverability, which I thought was going to be hampered with this big boat, big wind, heavy weight on it. Were we able to make a turn with a couple feet behind the boat and a couple feet in front of the boat? Were we able to get into tight spaces and put the boat where it needed to be in 35 knots of breeze? And we can do that. And we can do that easier with this boat, with the William Richard, than we can with our prop boats.
Dad, on behalf of your family that's here on the bow, ready to toast you and this brand new yacht that we are christening today, here is a bottle of champagne for you to keep. So when we start up the season in 2021, this will be cracked over the bow of the beautiful William Richard to give her the proper send-off and good luck for years to come.
I thought we were going to drink that.
Well, we're drinking this.
Oh, okay,
all right,
gotcha.
So here's to you, Dad, to your namesake, the William Richard, and many, many years of safe travel to and from Mackinac Island.
You got it.
Cheers.
Cheers. We're excited about having this boat, put it into operation, serving our customers. Give the people what they want. How do you do that? You talk to the people. You survey the people. And then you adjust your operation and your philosophies. Mainly your thinking has to be adjusted to what they want. And you'll be successful. And we've done this many, many, many times. It's been fun. But we haven't finished yet. We got a lot to do.